Welcome to 18th Century Cooking. I'm your host, John Townsend. Can you imagine in the 18th century, pumpkin spice pancakes? Yeah, apparently they made them and we're gonna try them out. Thanks for joining us today as we savor the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century. I spend a lot of time just sort of browsing 18th century cookbooks. I really enjoy it. And many times, you don't find something new, and then other times you open up another book and amazing things just sort of pop out of the page. Generally, if a recipe reads to make pancakes, I don't bother to read it. This particular one caught my eye. And so I am happy to bring to you something that's just titled How to Make Pancakes. Pretty simple, right? But this one is filled with spices that we would obviously call pumpkin spice pancakes. I was just actually pretty astounded that they put this many flavors in the exact way that we would think of as pumpkin spice. So these are going to be a wonderful fall thing to try out. It's perfect for this time of year, isn't it? And we all love to make pancakes. They're so simple. I think we should try these out. So the recipe book that these come from is called, let me get this right, The Accomplished Lady's Delight. And then it goes on and on like usual titles in preserving and physic and beautifying, cookery and gardening. It actually keeps going further, but we'll stop at that title. The author, a lady. We don't even know who she is, but it's a wonderful cookbook. This is from 1719, so it's an older cookbook, at least for the 18th century. And that's probably why it's so spicy. It's not the simple pancake that you would find in American cookery almost 100 years later, but it's one that's so rich in spices. And I haven't had a pancake like this before, and I love pancakes. To make pancakes, 2 words, pancakes, I love it. Put 8 eggs in a quart of flour, casting by 4 whites. We're gonna throw them out. Season it with cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, clove, mace, salt, and then make it up into a strong batter with milk. Beat it well together. Put in half a pint of sack. That's a sort of like a sherry wine, so we're gonna get a little wine flavor in there. Make it so thin that it may run in your pan as you please. I guess however you like to make pancakes. Put your pan in the fire with a little butter or suet. When it is very hot, take a cloth and wipe it out. So to make your pan very clean. Then put in your butter, run it very thin, supply it with little bits of butter, toss it so often, bake it up crisp and brown. My mouth is watering already. We're starting off with our eggs. I got 4 whole eggs cracked into this bowl. We're gonna make the whole recipe. Usually I cut these down, but let's do it, right? So 4 eggs, because I wanna eat all these pancakes. 4 eggs in the bowl. Now we're gonna do just some yolks, as they say in here, casting out the white, which is not how we would say it, right? But so we want just the yolks. So let me separate out a couple of yolks here. We don't maybe have to make it quite as rich as they would have, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and add some flour into this. We want to make sure that we don't add so much that, we're overwhelming the liquid of the eggs. And maybe we should just plain add all the liquid ingredients in at this point. So we need some milk. That sort of gets added until we get to the right consistency. But we also put in this half a pint of our wine, sack wine in this case. You can use any wine that you think is appropriate. And if you don't want to use wine at all, you can just go ahead and add extra milk. So I finally gotten this batter kind of in shape, exactly kind of like I like to do pancakes, which is really sort of implied there. Now, this is very spicy. And in the time period, these would have been high-end pancakes. Let me tell you, we got lots of rich eggs in here. We've got wine in this, and then we have these expensive spices that are all going to get put together here. We get a choice, and in the time period, the more spice we put in, the richer these pancakes are going to be, and it's the way you would show off to your guests just how rich you were, right? So we are so lucky today, aren't we? These spices are very, very inexpensive compared to what they were in the 18th century. The reason why they're always using nutmeg is because it was very expensive. So it is showing off. We get to show off just like they did. We can put as much spice in this as we want. So I'm gonna have fun. I love spicy pancakes. I love to experiment with the flavor of pancakes because it's something that's so easy to do. And maybe at the chagrin of some of my family members that might not like their pancakes quite so spicy. So we've got some salt in here. Now, we could have added this to the flour, but it doesn't give us a chance to test what's happening with these spices. So I'm gonna mix some of these in. I'm gonna get a kind of a equally guess as I go in, maybe half a teaspoon here, which might seem a bit much, but let's try it out. And then we get a chance to taste a little bit of this batter. I know raw eggs will probably kill you. You'll be all right, I promise you. We'll taste a little bit of these guys, and then we'll see if we need any more or if we need to adjust the balance. I'm not gonna go heavy on cloves. That's a bit much. Oh, the mace, yeah. And again, we want nice, finely ground spices. We don't have a hard time getting that today, but in the time period, they would have spent a good amount of time just preparing these spices. Ginger. I think this one we forget more than we ought to. I think this is another kind of like hidden, like nutmeg is. Ginger was used to spice things up in the 18th century because it was one of the less expensive ones. So we can go a little bit heavier on ginger if we want, especially to get that 18th century flavor. And don't forget the nutmeg. You got to have the nutmeg in there. This is just for the cook to do. Don't serve this to anybody else, obviously. Let's just get a little taste to make sure we're going the right place. We can go further. We have not gone far enough. I'm definitely. So a little more mace. This is the clove. No, not more clove. Nutmeg. There's a lot here, so you can definitely ginger. And if these things are missing the salt, it's definitely an issue too. So I'm gonna definitely go a little bit more salt there. Now it's really starting to smell and look like we want it to look. I'm gonna add just a touch more milk. This is a fairly big batch. As you're cooking, this batter is gonna slowly thicken up a little bit. So you wanna start just on the runny side so that it thickens up to right where you want it to be. And if you have to, halfway through the batch, just add a little bit of milk, you can do that. Now it's time to get that pan ready. So let's get that done. Our finished stack of pancakes, and hey, they smell good, that's for sure. They don't say it in the recipe, but very typically in these circumstances, in these 18th century recipes, what goes on pancakes, at least in England in the 18th century, is lemon and sugar, not what we would do here in Indiana, which would be maple syrup. That's a very North American kind of thing. So I'm gonna stick with the typical thing going on here. A little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of sugar sprinkled up on top, and then I'm gonna give this a try. And wait, hold on. There. And now we're ready to try this guy out. I'm excited to see, because I've never done one with this many spices, and it smells heavenly. Now, you may not have done pancakes with lemon. It is really good. I would do it more often. If you've never tried it, definitely try it out. A little bit of sugar up on top because it hasn't melted, even gives us a little kind of crunch. Another thing about these pancakes is they are very 18th century pancakes, not American pancakes that are all light and fluffy with lots of baking soda, baking powder in there to fluff them up. No, these are flat like crepes, very flat, but I like them better. They're a little more toothy and I enjoy them. Wonderful spice, wonderful mix. I'm gonna make these like this all the time. I'm used to campfires in the fall. I'm used to pumpkin spice and that's what we got, right? We got this wonderful wood smoke and we got this time of year and the crunchy leaves and this wonderful pumpkin spice and these just great pancakes. It all comes together. It feels like they all fit together just like a puzzle. And I really encourage you to try out this wonderful recipe and don't skimp on the spices, especially the nutmeg. It's fall, it's October. If you want another seasonal one, that is just wonderful connections. I love this story. The Last Meal of Ichabod Crane. Please check this one out.